Hi, this is Hank Friedman. You can see all of my video software tutorials, my written reviews on astrology software, and my over 100 tutorials in Western and Vedic astrology, all free, at my website, soulhealing.com. For this video tutorial, I'm going to be looking at Solar Fire Gold's animation features. Animation means watching chart move in time. You can animate a single chart and watch it move. You can animate a bi-wheel watching transits around a natal chart. You can animate two wheels at once, side by side, and so on. Solar Fire Gold is so powerful that advanced astrologers can design a page with several bi-wheels on it and animate transits to natal, progressed to natal, and directions to natal all at once, right before your eyes. But let's start simple. If I click on the dynamic menu item at the top and go down to animate bi-wheel, this will illustrate many of the features I want to show you today. You're not going to see the particular screen that's showing because I designed it for my own work. So to pick one that you can see, click on Page. Click on the plus sign next to multi-wheels and select bi-wheel, bi.page, and click OK. Let's say you want this particular chart to show up too. Right-click anywhere on the screen, click on Wheel Styles and then over to bi-wheel, and choose the one that says bisync, B-I-S-Y-N-C .wh2, and click Select. If you're not seeing the same planets represented, or if you want to control which planets are in the inner wheel and the outer wheel, you can again affect that. So for instance, if I right-click, I can choose the displayed points which determine which planets are going to show up the natal chart, and the displayed transiting points which will show what planets show up in the outer ring as transiting planets. So let's say, for instance, I only want major transits. I could click on Jupiter out. Let me go up and click, see where it says J-U-P-O-U-T, and click Select. Now the inner planets aren't being shown, and I'll only see the major planets forming aspect lines. Now the aspect set used can be controlled too. If you go to Aspect Set by right-clicking on the screen and Planets, you can choose whatever aspect set you want. I find the Orb 01 aspect set, which is 1 degree orbs, very effective at showing the strongest transits. So I'm going to keep that one. Now you can choose a starting date, a starting time, and how fast the chart moves, both by a step rate and by controlling this bar which says animation speed from faster to slower. Since I'm using outer planets, I might want to step by 1 day at a time. So I click on that and it says, it allows me to pick days, and there we go, 1 day. Now if I want to do 1 day at a time under my control, I use these. The one pointing to the left is 1 day before at each click. The one on the right is the triangle with the vertical line is 1 day later with each click. So I click once, and I click again, and not much is happening. You don't even see any aspect lines forming. Since this is outer planets, maybe I'll switch this to, let's say, 7 days, meaning a week. Now let's see what happens when I click. 1, 2, see, we're getting some aspect lines. And we notice as Jupiter moves, and we move a week at a time, different aspect lines are forming and separating. And I can control it very, very well with the clicks. And you'll notice that I have Pluto post Sun and Uranus here, very strong. And notice the line got thicker, and then it went dotted. This is a unique feature of Solar Fire Gold, one they pioneered. Very, very important. Let me go back a minute, a couple of days, so I show you that again. We go back a couple days and we see the line is thin, then it gets thicker, then it gets thicker still, and then it changes to dotted. It changes to dotted the minute the aspect is no longer applying, when it begins to separate. That's a wonderful feature for you to turn on. You might ask the question, how do you turn it on? The answer is very simple. Again, right-click on an empty space and go down to Aspect, Highlighting, and Filtering. The highlighting says no highlighting, meaning all lines look the same, or make them thicker, and I chose by relative tightness of the orb, square dot square, the fourth option down. I just find that one works the best. Over on the right, make sure the Applying Solid, Separating Dotted box is checked. That's very important in order to see what I just described. Okay. Now at any point, you can make the animation automatic by pressing the arrow without the vertical line. If I do that, then it keeps stepping without my intervention. Notice the planets are moving, and notice the lines are changing. And that's a very, very useful thing. You can see them retrograde, you can see them move direct, you can see aspects form and get weaker. So the animation is very, very useful. You can also make that animation faster or slower by moving this bar. So let me move it faster. Click on play again and watch how fast things start moving. Much, much, much faster. You can of course stop at any point. Now if I were going to want to choose a class, I wouldn't want just the outer planets, meaning the time for a class. I also wouldn't want to choose 10 p.m. So I choose my starting date and let's say 7 p.m. 7 space p.m. Okay? And then I right click and say the display of transiting points, I want the planets. So I go down to where it says planets here and I select that. Now I have all the planets. Okay? And there's a lot of aspects that are forming. And then I can go by pressing the step at a time and watch in 1 week intervals how the sky changes if I start the class at 7 p.m. on a Friday. And I could then, if I had plenty of time to schedule the class, choose a day that, for instance, had mostly trines and sextiles instead of squares and oppositions and semi-squares and all that stuff. It may take a while to find something that looks really great to me, but it's worth the effort, and it's a nice feature to be able to step through. You can also click on clock, and instead of getting an animation, you get a real-time clock watching the planets move around a chart as second by second in accordance to what the sky actually looks like. So let's do this again. Let's say I choose today's date, December 11th, 2009. And right now it's 10:46 p.m. 10:46 p.m. And I choose clock, and now what's going to happen is it's going to move very, very slowly. And unless you're showing the angles, the ascendant and midheaven, you're not going to even see what's going on because, you know, those are going to move the fastest. So let me add them. Displayed transiting points. And let's see if I can go up and find that. All planets, maybe that'll do it. Let's see. We click on that. And no, it doesn't, but let's show how we could edit that. Displayed transiting points. I could edit that and add the ascendant and the midheaven and click Save and select, and now the ascendant and midheaven are showing up. See, there's the ascendant. And over time that ascendant is going to move from 26 degrees Libra in clock time to 27 degrees Libra and so on. So you could keep this on your desktop and watch the ascendant move around the chart. You can also, of course, do that with a single chart, which a lot of people want. And all you have to do is select real-time clock, and there we go. It immediately starts and will move around with the time that it is. I've shown you some of SolarFire Gold's features, animated features. There are many more. This is an incredibly powerful implementation, better than any other program. Thank you. Bye.